Innocent Virgin Mary, please go elsewhere. Loyal guardians do not enter this book. My father was a daimyo in the country of He, my mother was a traveler 800 years ago, and my grandfather was a general in the country of He. Originally a warm and harmonious family, eating hot pot and singing, suddenly was destroyed by pirates. The despicable Kaido has taken over the kingdom of peace, and the despicable black charcoal snake has taken over the general's mansion. My parents died tragically, my sister's life and death are uncertain, my vassals died or suffered injuries, and the whereabouts of my cat and dog are unknown. All the wicked in the world deserve to die. Pirates should be completely eradicated. With the help of Xia Tao, who dares to kill me? Chapter 1. Butterfly flapping its wings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher Oda. The assistant hurriedly pushed open the door. Teacher Fu Zhen invites you to play mahjong together. In the room, Oda is watching netizens discussing the plot and flipping through newly released fan fiction, considering how to avoid the thoughts of these ordinary people. As a result, I was startled by my assistant and accidentally touched the ink bottle with my hand. A drop of ink fell onto the dusty draft paper. Wash the motor. Oita shouted and hurriedly picked up the draft paper, which had a character's prototype covered in ink. I quickly applied it with my hand, but it got darker and darker, making it completely impossible to see its original appearance. On the draft paper, there are page numbers and sources of inspiration, and with these things, Oda can determine which character is being drawn. Is this Tao Zhizhu? Tao Zhizhu was soaked in ink, getting darker and darker as he smeared, gradually unable to see his original appearance. It was a dark and dark mass, like a heavy night, and also like the dark abyss. It is said that a butterfly gently flapping its wings is enough to form a terrifying tornado on the other side of the ocean. One Piece World. In the year 1522 of the Gregorian calendar, Punk has sad. In the dilapidated room of the factory, a man wearing chemical protective clothing is showing off his aggression. There was a girl in front of him who was 8 or 9 years old, tormented to the point where she looked like a broken boat in a rapids, sinking to the bottom at any moment. The girl's eyes were completely silent, as if she had accepted her fate, without resistance or struggle, quietly waiting for death to come. Outside the dilapidated room, a boy of the same size tiptoed up and saw the scene inside through the window. Memories come to mind. In the courtyard of the 9-mile country of Harmony, there should have been a happy family of 4, but it was disrupted by a pirate named Kaido. The black charcoal snake despicably colluded with Kaido, using the lives of its people as a threat, causing his father to suffer the punishment of the soup pot, his mother to do her best to send herself to the future, and his sister's life and death are unknown. Thinking of this, Tao Zhizhu's eyes were bloodshot. A butterfly flew from a distance, flapping its wings and landing on the windowsill. The colorful patterns on its wings were like 2 eyes, penetrating into all things in the world. Tao Zhizhu, who was originally preparing to retreat, underwent a major personality change, and his killing intent overcame his cowardice. Pirates. Villains. All die for me. Momoiki shouted desperately. Buzz. An extremely oppressive aura erupted from Tao Zhizhu, indiscriminately sweeping around, venting the owner's anger and demonstrating its dominance. At that moment, heaven and earth turned pale, and time and space seemed to freeze. A man who punishes evil is like being struck by a hammer, his brain is like being pierced by a steel needle, and it hurts deeply. The pain quickly exceeded his limit and he rolled his eyes unconscious. On the other hand, the girl was not affected at all, indicating that her willpower was extremely resilient. The girl struggled to lift her head and looked at the thin and small figure outside the window. The strange hairstyle looks a bit ridiculous, with tears hanging from the corners of my eyes. Perhaps he is also a pitiful person. The girl turned her head and stared blankly at the ceiling. I had already decided to leave this world, why should I survive? What did he say just now? Pirates. Bad guy. Die for me, yeah, why is the dead person themselves? It should be them. The girl looked at Tao Zhizhu again. The stranger we met for the first time, let's kill all the bad guys together. Outside the room, Tao Zhizhu, who had just awakened his domineering aura, felt his legs weaken and his strength almost completely exhausted. Puff. Tao Zhizhu collapsed on his back and seemed to see the girl in a daze. She crawled towards herself regardless of her injuries, her numb expression changing for the first time, with a mix of concern in her eyes. Fortunately, I saved her, father. I should be a qualified warrior, right? A smile appeared on Tao Zhizhu's lips, and he immediately fainted. The girl crawled on the ground with her injured leg covered in blood, staring blankly at the smile, unsure of what she was thinking. After an unknown amount of time, Tao Zhizhu woke up leisurely and found himself lying on a flat wooden board, with no one around. Golem Tao Zhizhu's stomach started to scream, and a strong sense of hunger came from his body, only to realize that he had not eaten for 3 days. The footsteps echoed from far to near, and a girl's figure appeared at the corner. Her injuries had completely disappeared, and her skin was fair and smooth. The girl was holding a fruit with a strange pattern in her hand, as if it had a magical power that deeply attracted Mamasuk, making his gaze unable to shift. Tao Zhizhu regained consciousness and quickly tidied up his clothes and appearance. With the help of Xia Tao, you are a warrior of Higua. The girl didn't answer and walked over to hand the fruit to Momoiki. Let's eat. Tao Zhizhu swallowed his saliva greedily, disregarding etiquette, and picked up the fruit to gnaw wildly. The taste is hard to swallow, but at least it can fill the stomach. The whole fruit was swallowed by him, and after only 3 seconds, Momoiki's body suddenly changed. My arms turned into claws, my waist and abdomen suddenly stretched, and scales grew on my body surface. What's going on? Tao Zhizhu was shocked. The girl didn't know where to find a mirror and let Momoiki see her current appearance clearly. Looking at the pink young dragon in the mirror, Tao Zhizhu jumped 3 feet high. How did I turn into a monster? Upon hearing the words monster, the girl's eyes twitched slightly. In a moment of desperation, Tao Zhizhu unexpectedly learned how to fly. He accidentally hit the ceiling and his head bulged. He covered his head in pain and looked at the girl with some anger. It's all her fault. She made herself eat strange things. Can become stronger. The girl suddenly spoke. Upon hearing this, Tao Zhizhu gradually became calm. The despicable Kai duo killed his father, who was extremely powerful. If he wanted revenge, he must have the same strength as him. After regaining his composure, Tao Zhizhu gradually learned the ability to control his transformation and gradually returned to human form. He was excited to change, but found that transformation was very exhausting and soon wilted. Another discovery made him feel happy: his recovery ability has become stronger. You haven't told me your name yet. Tao Zhizhu questioned the girl. The girl raised her head and their eyes met. Soon, the girl lowered her head again, seeming to prefer looking at the floor. My name is Iris. Tao Zhizhu recited the girl's name and kept it in his heart. Your Excellency Iris, can you tell me where this is? After traveling through time and space, Tao Zhizhu didn't know where he was staying, only remembered being caught on an isolated island by a group of human traffickers. The whereabouts of the accompanying vassal Jinwei men are unknown, and Tao Zhizhu urgently needs to gather intelligence. Follow me. Iris led the way ahead, and Tao Zhizhu immediately followed her. Passing by the dilapidated room, I saw bloodstains on the ground, but the bad guys disappeared. Strange, what about that guy? Tao Zhizhu asked. Iris gently stroked her lower abdomen but did not answer. Chapter 2. The Morphology of the Spider Fruit in Xinfu Luo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stop. Suddenly, a strong man wearing a chemical protective suit appeared in front of him, and in front of him, the 2 children were not even as tall as his waist. Iris kept staring at the ground, unwilling to look up, and a little spider crawled out of her pants. The spider has a small body size and did not attract the other person's attention. "Damn it! Are you children who ran out without permission?" questioned the strong man in chemical prevention clothing. Tao Zhiju's breathing quickened, his heart pounded violently, and he clenched his fists ready to fight at any time. The power to intimidate others is elusive, but transformation can be used flexibly. Just as the backup transformation power is available to deal with enemies, it is discovered that the little spider has crawled onto them. The little spider spewed green smoke, but the highly resilient protective suit didn't work and was easily corroded by the green smoke. The green smoke continued to spread, touching the person's skin, causing blood and flesh to blur, and the white bones inside were clearly visible. "Ah!" The strong man in the anti-chemical suit screamed as he covered his leg in pain. The little spider crawled into its body along the broken blood vessel, climbed upwards, and finally reached its heart, biting it fiercely. The strong man trembled violently, his limbs stiff as he lay on the ground, his breathing gradually stopping. Iris walked slowly over and placed her palm above the strong man's chest. The little spider crawled out of its flesh and blood, using green smoke to corrode its chemical protective suit, and climbed into Alice's palm. Watching from the side, Tao Zhiju's face was filled with shock. What a strange ability. "I heard that there is a treasure called Devil's Fruit outside of the Kingdom of Harmony, which can give people magical power. Does she have this power?" Your Excellency Iris." Tao Zhiju asked tentatively. He was unsure if Iris in front of him had changed, and if she matched the poor girl he had seen before. If Iris is so powerful, why let the bad guys torture her? In a moment of hesitation, Iris lifted her head and gazed at Tao Zhiju with both eyes. Spider. Fruit. Phantom species. New woman. Form. Alice said her trump card. "Since we have chosen to kill all the villains in the world together, we should trust each other." She raised her finger to Tao Zhiju and said, "The replica. Powerful. Like a dragon." Lenovo suddenly turned into a flying creature before, and Momoiki understood what Iris meant. He had eaten the devil's fruit and gained powerful power. Can the devil fruit actually replicate? Wait, dragon. He suddenly remembered a past event, and it seemed like that bastard Kaido could also turn into a dragon. Tao Zhiju squinted his eyes and a frenzy of killing intent surged in his heart. Iris looked at him quietly, recognizing the strong killing intent. Endless killing intent was a necessity to fight against evil people. With her head tilted, Iris suddenly transformed into a half-human, half-spider form, with 6 secondary eyes growing on her forehead and 8 spider legs replacing her lower body. A white thread shot out from her navel and pierced the strong man's brain, and then Alice closed her eyes. This is one of the abilities of the bride Luo, which can acquire memory by devouring the brain's cytoplasm. The acquired memories are scattered and incomplete, and can interfere with the memory and even personality of capable individuals. Iris generally does not use this ability, but in order to obtain intelligence, she can only do so. The inspiration was fleeting, and Tao Zhiju caught it and even referenced Alice's transformation to master the form of a human dragon. He is nearly 2 meters tall in the form of a humanoid dragon, with his physical strength increasing exponentially. His head, half human and half dragon, is covered in scales, appearing somewhat ferocious. Iris showed a rare smile. Perhaps only monsters can accompany them. Your Excellency Iris. That's great. I've learned another move. Tao Ji cheerfully said. Iris walked slowly to Ta Zizu and touched his forehead with her forehead. The bride Luo had her first contact with Qinglong. A scene suddenly flashed through Tao Zhiju's mind, which was when he awakened his domineering aura. The screen repeats and disappears over and over again, repeating itself as if it were an endless cycle. Later on, Tao Zhiju understood Iris's intention and wanted to feel it carefully and learn to control that power. Protectionism and pain seemed to be the key, and Tao Zhizhu quickly found the trick and tried to practice, recalling the feeling at that time. After experiencing hundreds of failures, I finally learned how to use the domineering color and aura. Tao Zhizhu opened his eyes and woke up from the illusion. Alice across from her opened her eyes and looked pale, as if she had expended a huge amount of energy. "Your Excellency Iris!" Tao Zhizhu shouted anxiously. After taking a break, Alice regained some of her strength and also sorted out the memories she had taken, giving her a rough understanding of the factory's layout. "According to my memory, there was a samurai searching for a child, who should be Momoiki." With a slight movement of her ears, Alice heard footsteps coming from far to near. "It's up to you." Her voice sounded a bit weak. Tao Zhizhu nodded seriously and immediately transformed into a human dragon form, summoning 12 points of energy. Another minion wearing chemical protective clothing came to inspect and saw two monsters. "What thing?" The minion was shocked and aimed his flamethrower at them. Buzz! Qinglong squinted his eyes, his vertical pupils suddenly shrank, and his powerful and unparalleled domineering aura erupted completely. If the minion is overwhelmed by Mount Tai, he faints in front of the dark and foams out of his mouth. Relieving the human dragon form, Tao Zhizhu couldn't hide his joy in his eyes and happily shared his joy with Iris. "Your Excellency Iris. It's successful." Iris looked at him quietly, neither sad nor happy. "Kill. Murder." Tao Zhizhu's smile froze on his face, as he had never killed anyone before. "But if the other person is a bad guy, then damn it." Thinking of this, Tao Zhizhu's heart sank and he clenched his fist and walked to the side of the minion. Animal fruits have given him a strong physique, and his strength is unparalleled. Tao Zhizhu rode on the minion and swung his fist fiercely, one punch heavier than the other, and one punch faster than the other. Fresh blood splattered on his face, blurring his vision. He was not disturbed, but his punching speed became faster and faster. A mere servant, how can he bear it? With one kick of his legs, he bid farewell to the world. Tao Zhizhu gasped for breath and looked at the body with a hint of surprise, realizing that he had done it himself. Pirates do many evil deeds, and villains are cunning and cunning. Only by being ruthless can we deal with them. There's nothing wrong with doing this. And it's very accurate. Those pirates deserve to die. Damn it all in my own hands. Tao Zhizhu's eyes were bloodshot, and the killing intent filled his mind. Iris walked slowly to his side, touched his forehead again, and activated the power of the bride Luo. A warm memory emerged in Tao Zhizhu's mind. It was a hot spring with hot air, and the family of four happily took a bath. Tao Zhizhu splashed water with his hands and bullied his infant sister. Oda rested against the edge while Tainyushi looked at the two children with a smile on his face. The blood in his eyes gradually faded, and Tao Zhizhu woke up from his madness and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He bowed deeply to Iris. "Your Excellency Iris. Thank you very much." Chapter 3. Turning People into Spiders. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Puzzy. Iris spat out spider silk and stabbed the minion's chest and abdomen. Fresh blood flowed into her body along the silk, and the pure white silk was dyed red, like sparkling amber. The minion collapsed at a visible speed and turned into a zombie. And Iris's complexion was getting better and better, and her exhausted stamina quickly recovered. Tao Zhizhu was stunned and thought to himself that the bride Luo was really terrifying. In a daze, he remembered the rumors about the bride Luo. It is rumored that the newlywed Luo is an extremely dangerous monster. During the day, she appears in the form of a beautiful woman, but at night, she reveals her spider form and specializes in sucking human blood and eating men's heads. 3 minions lost contact in a row, and the factory realized something was wrong. Therefore, they strengthened their patrols and formed groups of 3 or 5, no longer acting alone. Tao Zhizhu and Iris always pay attention to avoiding patrols and quietly approach a cell. There are many 7 or 8-year-old children imprisoned inside, and strangely, the children are tall and can be compared to giants. The reason why children are huge stems from Caesar's giant experiment, where he fed them candy containing poison every day, causing their bodies to undergo changes. The child who has undergone transformation is incredibly powerful and their mind is also affected. Create chaos. Iris said of the plan. After speaking, let out the little spider and let it spray green smoke towards the iron door, corroding a large hole. Tao Zhizhu transformed into a human dragon form and took the initiative to run to the patrolling guards. Stinky bastards! You all deserve to die! Tao Zhizhu shouted. The guard was furious and chased after him with a flamethrower, but was led to a distance by Tao Zhizhu. Alice's progress over there went very smoothly and she arrived inside the room. The room is like a huge amusement park, with many toys inside for children to play with. A little girl recognized Alice, her big eyes filled with joy. They are all children who have been caught or deceived, we have known each other before. Great! Iris, you're back, the girl said happily. Iris didn't say anything and pointed in the direction of the iron door, hide. Cat. The little girl nodded excitedly and turned to look at the big guy. Everyone. Let's play hide and seek together. Alice, be a ghost. The children were very happy when they heard that they could play games. A destructive child directly smashed the iron door, making it convenient for everyone to go out. They walked through the iron gate and searched for hiding places everywhere in the factory. In the surveillance room, Caesar saw the fleeing children and his face turned pale with anger. Damn it! A bunch of trash. Monet, who was working next to him, pushed his glasses and smiled at the corner of his mouth. Can I help you? Caesar glanced at Monet and vaguely felt that she was not trustworthy. Shua luo 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 luo. Monet, you are really my good assistant. Go quickly. Get the children back. Monet has completed the transformation and spared no expense in losing her limbs to gain Caesar's trust, transforming into the appearance of an eagle-shaped witch. She flapped her wings and flew into the air, glanced at the surveillance footage, recognized the location where the children had fled, and flew out along the passage. All the way smoothly, Monet quickly arrived at the room where the child was being detained. Iris, who had been ambushed in advance, hid in the shadows, evaded surveillance, and immediately launched a surprise attack when she saw Monet appear. Above the door frame, there are 3 little spiders spraying green smoke at Monet. The green smoke that burns blood and corrodes bones is extremely toxic and easily burns Monet's body. Ah! Monet let out a scream and fell from the air. She activated Elemental to try to avoid damage, but the effect was not significant. Elementalization can evade instant attacks, such as slashes, but has little effect on sustained damage, such as poison. Trapped. Monet was shocked and nervously looked around, only to find a girl in the shadows. The girl always kept her head down, with a thin figure and a fragile appearance, but her aura was extremely eerie. Who are you? Monet asked sharply. Iris didn't answer and quietly activated her fruit power, transforming into a human spider form, spraying spider silk from her navel and shooting towards Monet, who fell to the ground and couldn't stand up. Sensing danger, Monet transformed into a ferocious snow demon, and a heavy snowfall fell in the room, causing a sudden drop in temperature. Kaka kaka. A layer of cold ice formed on the ground, and suddenly it rose from the ground, piercing towards the spider silk. I thought spider silk would freeze, but it turned out to be surprisingly resilient, which Monet secretly exclaimed was not good. The spider silk hits Monet and binds her into Zongzi. Webbing. Iris changed the direction of her breathing and shot a strand of spider silk towards the roof, lifting the cocoon tied up with the silk. In the cocoon of silk, there was no daylight, and when she reached out, she couldn't see her 5 fingers. Monet was filled with fear and was surprised to find that her power was flowing away, being sucked away by the spider silk. Damn it! Monet unleashed the power of the devil fruit, releasing a large amount of cold energy and turning himself into an ice lump, but unfortunately to no avail, his power continued to decline. Caesar! Can you hear me? Come and save me. She tried to shout loudly, hoping that Caesar would come and rescue her. That girl is too eerie. She is definitely a demon fruit-capable person, and her level of development is extremely high. Perhaps she has already awakened like the young master. Why did she appear in the factory? Why do you have to deal with yourself? Monet's heart was filled with doubts. At the very moment she started, Alice sent a little spider to the corner and corroded the monitor. No one knows what happened in the room, Caesar won't come to support, and Monet can only watch as his power drains. Caesar! Caesar! She repeatedly called for help, her eyelids gradually becoming difficult to support, and finally fainted. Iris waited quietly, like an experienced hunter, waiting for the trapped beast to no longer struggle and exhaust its last bit of strength. When the time was ripe, Iris came to the cocoon and kissed the spider silk. The silk seemed to have come to life and flowed into her mouth, being eaten into her stomach. Iris opened her mouth, revealing her sharp canine teeth and biting into Monet's neck, leaving 2 blood holes. After finishing everything, Iris turned pale and her body trembled, almost unable to stand firm. She couldn't hold on to her consecutive fruiting abilities. "Who is that?" shouted from a distance, and a lone servant ran to check. Iris's mouth curved slightly upwards. "The food is here." The servant let out a mournful scream and unfortunately became the ingredient for Alice's recovery. Afraid of scaring Tao Zhizhu, he only drank fresh blood while sucking on the previous minion. This time, he didn't even have any bones left and was completely eaten by Alice. Relieving her transformation, Iris regained her human form and dragged Monet, who was unconscious, out to the dilapidated house where she met with Momo. Not long after, the panting Tao Ji ran over. "Ha! Ha! Your Excellency Iris. Did you succeed?" Tao Zhizhu asked. He attracted dozens of patrolling guards, who were unfamiliar with the terrain and fell into danger several times. Fortunately, the human dragon form was strong enough to survive several times. The minion is not strong, but the power of the flamethrower is enormous, almost burned to ashes. Iris reached out and pointed to Monet at the corner of the wall. Half. Helpers. Chapter 4. Memory Screen, Navy Type 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sun sets in the west, and night falls. In the dilapidated room, Monet, who was unconscious, suddenly stood up. She opened her eyes, which were pitch black and devoid of any eye whites. Monet made a strange sound, with black fur growing on his body surface and 6 other eyes protruding from his forehead. With legs divided in half and a bulging belly trailing behind, it turned into a huge black spider. The servant spider. Trustworthy. Iris pointed to the black spider and introduced. Tao Zhizhu was both pleasantly surprised and envious, admiring Alice's endless abilities. How should one develop their own fruits? This is also one of the fruit abilities of the bride Luo, called transformation, which injects toxins into the opponent's blood through her fangs, and the target will turn into a spider in the dark night. The transformed spider who fully obeys the ability is the most loyal servant. There are 2 drawbacks to transformation. First, the target will return to its original form the next day, and second, the spider's intelligence is low, relying only on instinct during battles. Iris flipped over and rode on the back of the black spider, followed by Momoiki. The 2 of them, led by Monet, arrived at the warehouse where the items were stored. After searching for a while, I finally found what I wanted. I know what this is. Tao Zhizhu said proudly. The thing in front of us is produced in the country of peace, which is an extremely hard stone that has been crafted into the shape of handcuffs. Tao Zhizhu excitedly picked it up, feeling as if he had collapsed, unable to exert any force, and fell directly to the ground. "What's wrong with me?" Tao Zhizhu asked weakly. Iris kicked away the sea tower stone handcuffs with her feet, and Momoiki recovered. "Devils. Afraid of the sea," Alice explained. The devil fruit ability has an extremely obvious weakness, which is the fear of seawater, and once it falls into the ocean, its limbs become weak. For those with abilities, the sea tower stone plays the same role as the sea, similar to solid seawater. "Did I turn into a dry duck?" Tao Zhizhu took a step back and looked at the high Lu Shi handcuffs with some fear. Iris threaded a rope through the seawall handcuffs and hung it on one of the legs of the black spider. She also took some food and returned to the dilapidated house. "It has been several days since I ate any serious food, so Tao Zhizhu wolfed it down and his stomach became round and bulging like a ball." Iris saw this and once again pressed against his forehead, conveying memories into his mind. Tao Zhizhu saw a scene, as if in the laboratory. Iris was lying on the experimental table, with a doctor wielding a surgical knife with a robotic arm, fidgeting on her head. There are images played by the projection phone worm in the rear, all of which are combat moves, including Navy Type 6 and Life Return. The projection phone worm and Iris's head were connected by black lines, densely packed and looking a bit terrifying. "What a wonderful experimental subject. I want to put combat skills into your brain," shouted the doctor. Tao Zhizhu was stunned and suddenly heard Iris's voice, which seemed to come from the sky, ethereal and cold. "Watch. Screen. So it's about learning martial arts." After realizing it, Tao Zhizhu quickly regained his energy and stared intently at the projection screen. The screen played over and over again, and the combat skills were deeply imprinted in Tao Zhizhu's mind. He remembered clearly how to use each move and how to change it. After an unknown amount of time, Tao Zhizhu woke up from his memory, and Alice in front of him turned pale. "Your Excellency Iris. Are you okay?" Tao Zhizhu worried. Iris weakly shook her head and leaned against the wall to support herself. "Give it a try." Tao Zhizhu immediately understood that she wanted to see her learning achievements. If she failed, wouldn't it be a betrayal of her heart? Thinking of this, Tao Zhizhu's eyes became serious, recalling the scene on the screen and starting to try for the first time. "Return of life," Tao Zhizhu whispered. The originally round belly immediately disappeared, and the food was quickly digested. Under the intentional control of Tao Zhizhu, that part of the energy was transferred to the arm. The two arms became extremely thick and 4 times thinner than before, looking somewhat out of sync. Tao Zhizhu was extremely satisfied, because the strong men of Heji Kingdom are like this, they have 1,000 pounds of power. "Continue," Iris said weakly. There was a hint of satisfaction in her tone. The memories at that time were torture for her, and if she could choose, she wouldn't want to recall them. The boy in front of him wants revenge. Becoming stronger is the only way. Perhaps his situation is even more tragic. What else can he escape? Moon step. Tao Zhizhu drank low. Stepping on the ground with both feet at lightning speed, a white mist formed at the tips of the feet. With the help of Tao Zhi, he flew into the air and exerted force on one foot when falling. The white mist reappeared, like a fleeting cloud. He stepped on the sonic boom cloud and freely shuttled through the air, playing happily. Lawn Jiao. On a whim, Tao Zhizhu exerted his lawn foot towards the wooden door, only to hear a click, causing it to shatter between the wooden doors. The sound of fragmentation was quite loud, attracting the attention of nearby guards who were walking towards us with a flamethrower. With a clatter, Tao Zhizhu fell back to the ground and awkwardly scratched his head. "Damn it." Glancing at Alice's pale face, Tao Zhizhu put aside his playful expression and became serious. "Don't worry, Your Excellency Iris. I will protect you. Iris looked up at him, unsure of what she was thinking. The footsteps of the guards echoed from far to near, and Tao Zhizhu was already prepared for battle. He stood in front of Iris, never allowing his opponent to harm her. Found it, shouted a guard. 3 guards immediately followed and surrounded the entrance of the dilapidated house. What kind of monster is that? The guard shouted as he stared at the spider. The black spider is truly terrifying. Its long fur is like a broom, its hard exoskeleton is like armor, and its 8 eyes are pitch black like ink. It's not an exaggeration to say it's a demon from hell. Iris's mind twitched slightly, and the spider immediately took action. Whoosh! A black spider leg swept towards the guard, and the person quickly retreated to widen the distance, lifting the flamethrower in his hand and pulling the trigger. Flame was originally a natural enemy of beasts, but unfortunately, the power of the spider has already exceeded normal limits. The servant spider pushed forward against the flames, and the black fur became more and more solidified in the flames, shining like obsidian. On weekdays, he used a musket to deal with many pirates, and the guards trusted him greatly. Therefore, they relaxed their vigilance and did not expect to encounter enemies who were not afraid of fire. When he regained his senses, the servant spider was already close in front of him, only half a step away. Puzzy! The black spider's legs pierced the guard's chest, causing a chilling sensation. The guard stared blankly at the wound and collapsed to the ground with an incredulous expression on his face. Monster! Monster! The remaining 3 guards were so scared that they screamed and wanted to escape. Tao Zhizhu squinted his eyes. Don't think about leaving since he's here. Shave. Chapter 5. Pity is of no use. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Despite being a child with not yet fully grown hair, the 3 guards dared to block their way. In their eyes, the spider monster behind them was terrifying. Stinky little devil. Don't seek death. A guard pulled the trigger. Tao Zhizhu's gaze was as cold as ice, filled with hatred and hatred towards evil. The claws and teeth of these villains in front of him should all die. Flames pierced through the barrel of the gun and shot straight towards the Mamakazu face door. The scorching heat made the room much warmer, and the heat wave hit the face warmly. Shave. Tao Zhizhu repeated his old technique and easily dodged the flames, flashing behind the person. Lift your right hand in the blink of an eye, aim your index finger at the guard's heart, pull your waist and back, and connect your back muscles with your arms. Your index finger gathers half of your body's strength. In the memory scene, Tao Zhizhu practiced tens of thousands of times and proficiently mastered the power technique. Finger the gun. Tao Zhizhu's index finger suddenly became difficult, piercing through the guard's protective suit like a bullet. His skin was as fragile as thin paper, and his fingers easily pierced through it. The 8-year-old child's fingers were eventually shorter, and the guard happened to be a chubby person with thick fat. The fingers did not poke into the heart, only had an extra hole. The guard was surprised and covered the wound, watching the blood flowing inside. The belated pain made him fall into an abyss. The pressure of death was extremely strong, and he had already felt the god of death waving. Just a child, why is there such a strong killing intent? Why is there such strong strength? Without enough time to think about it, the pain made him completely lose his courage, and he fell to the ground like a bereaved dog, howling. Tao Zhizhu looked at him from a condescending position, with no mercy in his eyes. When my father spared Kaido and forgave the black charcoal snake, he died more tragically than anyone else, so pity was of no use. Thinking of this, Tao Zhizhu lifted his left foot and fiercely kicked the guard's neck. Click. The sound of bones breaking is clear and audible, particularly piercing in the quiet night sky. The guard's pupils gradually dilated, his eyes filled with disbelief. He never expected to die in the hands of a child. Capturing children, conducting experiments on them, and ultimately dying at the hands of the child may be the best fate, and Momoiki's mouth sneered. He turned his head to look at the remaining two guards, his cold gaze making them both sweat profusely. Run. He's not a child. He's a devil. A guard fled in a hurry, even throwing away his flamethrower in order to run faster. The servant spider strode its legs to chase after it, but its 2 legs couldn't run as fast as 8 legs. It was caught before running a few tens of meters. Monet's transformed spider pushed it to the corner of the wall, ready to take action when Alice picked up the flamethrower on the ground and casually threw it to the servant spider. The owner and the servant spider share the same intention and can understand the meaning without words. The servant spider Monet picked up the flamethrower and found the trigger with a dull expression, aiming at the guard and spraying flames. Ah! It's so hot. Help me quickly. The guard was enveloped in flames, and the protective suit worked, not igniting the entire body. The muzzle of the gun continued to spew hot flames, and the protective suit gradually began to crack. The flames penetrated into the clothes like a snake, burning the skin and causing a burning pain throughout the body. The guards rolled on the ground, trying to extinguish the flames on their bodies, but unfortunately Monet kept pressing the trigger until the gas in the flamethrower was depleted. Looking at the guards again, they had turned into charred corpses, and the air was filled with the smell of burnt incense. Iris tugged at the corner of her mouth. Although barbecue may lose some energy, the taste is much better than eating raw. Drink. The battle on Taoji's side continued, knocking down the last guard to the ground. Just as he was about to kill the assassin, he suddenly felt a piercing pain in his body and his vision became dim. Puff. Tao Zhizhu fell to the ground and fainted directly. The guard was overjoyed at the sight and stood up against the wall, ready to take the opportunity to escape from this hellish hallway. 2 children are more terrifying than demons. Stay here, there's a dead end. If you don't run at this moment, wait even longer. Iris lowered her eyebrows and eyes, unwilling to see the filth of the world. The green little spider crawled out of her clothes, climbed along her pants to the ground, and quickly moved on the ground, catching up with the guards in the blink of an eye. Due to its small size, the guard did not notice the existence of the little spider and was trapped in its protective suit. A slight stabbing pain came from the ankle, and the neurotoxin quickly spread, causing the blood to disintegrate and melt. The guard's eyes were covered in bloodshot. The guard fell to the ground in silence, unable to breathe anymore. Iris spat out spider silk, sticking to the bodies of each guard, gathering them together and devouring flesh and blood one by one to replenish the lost energy. Memory reproduction consumes too much physical energy, even for her monster, it still cannot be used continuously. Fortunately, the fruit of Xinfu Luo has a solution to the problem, which is to devour blood and flesh to restore physical strength, effectively relieving symptoms. Despite her petite body, she was able to eat guards several times her size, which raises doubts about Alice's stomach structure. After a full meal, Iris felt a moment of drowsiness and rested against the spider for a few minutes. During this period, the servant spider looked around cautiously to prevent encountering other guards. The location of the dilapidated wooden house is relatively remote, it is an abandoned factory building, and few people come over on weekdays. The movement of killing the guards did not attract anyone. Iris slept soundly and turned her head to look at Tao Zhizhu, who had fallen to the ground and couldn't get up, her eyes completely indifferent. She bit through her fingertips, squeezed out bright red blood droplets, and dropped them into Tao Zhizhu's mouth, which contained pure energy and had a medicinal effect. Tao Zhizhu woke up slowly and struggled to open his eyes. What's going on here? Tao Zhizhu asked weakly. Iris replied, my stamina is not enough. The cultivation of the Navy's 6 styles requires extremely high physical fitness, and Tao Zhizhu did not exercise before. If it were not for the effect of Qinglong fruit, success would never have been possible. The animal-type demon fruit has a strong recovery ability, and it won't be long before Tao Zhizhu can continue to bounce around. Worried about the cold on the ground, Iris knelt on both legs and let Momoiki lie on her own. Tao Zhizhu felt the warmth of Iris through his thin shirt, cold and shy, blushing. "Your Excellency Iris. What are you doing?" Tao Zhizhu stuttered. Iris didn't answer, lifted her head and peered into the night sky through the cracks in the ceiling. "To eliminate evil. Be ruthless." Tao Zhizhu has become accustomed to Iris's way of speaking, always intermittent, and needs to speculate on its meaning. Does she mean to make herself ruthless? Indeed, shyness is a manifestation that only children have. If there is no revenge, how can one panic over small matters? If there is no revenge, how can the resentment of parents dying tragically be quelled? Thinking of this, Tao Zhizhu's face returned to normal and he looked straight at Alice's dazzling eyes. "I understand now." Chapter 6. Bad guys have to pay a price. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, the first ray of dawn shone through the cracks into the dilapidated house. Dang dang. Dang dang. Tao Zhizhu was awakened by the noise, and then she understood why Iris said the servant spider was half a helper. There is a time limit to mutation, with spiders at night and humans during the day. Monet regained his true form and sat against the corner, attempting to unlock the shackles of the sea tower stone that bound him. Iris still knelt down on both knees, allowing Tao Zhizhu to enjoy the care of the knee pillow. She glanced at Monet from the corner of her eye, showing a hint of contempt. Many demon fruit-capable individuals have made fatal mistakes, relying on the strength of the fruit to defecate freely, but forget to exercise their bodies, unaware that the body is the foundation. Monet is a good example. Since possessing snowy fruit, she has experienced the power of the natural demon fruit. She reads every day when she has nothing to do and never thinks of practicing. As a result, it was restricted by the sea tower stones and became a fish on the chopping board, which could only be slaughtered by people. Tao Zhizhu lifted his head, and Iris's delicate face was clearly visible. Her face was peaceful and fair, completely different from the terrifying bride Luo at night. Only then did he realize that he was still lying on someone else's lap, and Taoji stood up with a red face. He was surprised to find that he had actually recovered. Last night, he was still half alive, and even opening his eyelids felt difficult. However, after sleeping for a while, he became lively and energetic, as if there was an endless force in his body. After observation, he found that he had developed muscle lines, and his originally weak arms were a bit thicker and much stronger than before. "Your Excellency Iris. I have become stronger." Tao Zhizhu quickly shared the good news with Iris. Iris nodded slightly, not surprised. The structure of men is different from that of women, with more androgens and easier physical exercise. The Navy Type 6 is extremely physically demanding, and the muscles involved in the attack are exercised. With the help of life return, the muscles quickly tear and recombine, resulting in a rapid growth rate. Golem Tao Zhizhu's stomach screamed, and as his muscles grew, his appetite also doubled. Quickly opening the bag of the package, Tao Zhizhu picked up the food and stuffed it into his mouth until his stomach was full, instantly emptying the food in the bag. "It seems like we're going to the warehouse again to grab food," Tao Zhizhu apologized. "I was really hungry just now and didn't consider leaving something for Iris." Dang dang. Monet angrily shook the chain, her eyes filled with anger. As a member of the Red Heart, she was one of the most capable subordinates of the young master, Duo Frenmingo. Unexpectedly fell into the hands of two children. If you say it out loud, it will definitely be laughed at by the family. Anger returns to anger, and the method still needs to be considered. The most important thing is how to unlock the shackles of the sea tower stones. Monet immediately regained his composure, with a smile on his lips. "Two lovely children, can you tell your sister what happened? Why did you catch her?" Monet asked kindly. In Monet's heart, the child is ultimately a child. Although he doesn't understand why the little girl has such strange abilities, his mind should be immature and easy to deceive. Iris's eyes flashed with a hint of contempt, and she instantly saw Monet's intention. She chose to remain silent, wanting to see how Momoiki would respond. Based on Iris's understanding of Punkhasad, the people who were transformed were all pirates, and she was grateful to scientist Caesar. The eagle-shaped female monster in front of her should also be no exception. However, she possesses the natural demon fruit, with a glint of wisdom in her eyes. She is vastly different from those foolish pirates and is mostly Caesar's confidant, so her status should not be low. Because you are a villain. You need to pay the price. Tao Zhizhu said fiercely. Monet looked at him with a smile on his face, not surprised but happy. So, can you tell my sister what bad things I did? Tao Zhizhu was stunned for half a second. Yes, there was indeed no evidence of her crime. Then he thought of Black Charcoal Snake, the bastard who betrayed the kingdom of He. If it weren't for him causing trouble behind the scenes and colluding internally and externally, how could Kaido possibly invade the Kingdom of Peace? Even though there is no direct evidence to prove the crime of the Black Charcoal Snake, Tao Zhizhu knew it well and recognized his guilt in his heart. Assisting a tyrant in his tyranny is equally unforgivable. Factories are places where children are captured for experimentation, and the eagle-shaped female demon, who can move freely, is undoubtedly an accomplice. Humph, stop talking nonsense. I will definitely make you pay the price. Tao Zhizhu said coldly. The way he addressed himself and his unique hairstyle reminded Monet of a certain country, which was also the stronghold of the big shots behind the young master. It is said that there was no founding of the country, and it had no connection with the world government. It was located in the latter half of the New World, where Kaido secretly developed and gradually grew, thus gaining the position of the fourth emperor. Are you from the land of peace? Monet asked tentatively. Upon hearing this, Tao Zhizhu widened her eyes and realized that someone could reveal her background. She definitely knew something. The journey of time was only a second for Tao Zhizhu, but he knew that 20 years had passed in this world. 20 years is enough to bring about earth-shattering changes. Are our retainers safe and sound? Are the people of Jiuli living and working in peace and contentment? Will someone set up a monument for father? Will anyone go over to mourn? Is the mother still alive? How is your little sister doing now? Tao Zhizhu was filled with thoughts for a moment, and his complex gaze gradually regained clarity, adding a hint of firmness. Finger the gun. Webbing. Tao Zhizhu suddenly became troubled and plunged his index finger into Monet's shoulder. The excruciating pain made Monet's eyebrows furrow, and his eyes were filled with anger. Damned brat. Surprisingly launched a surprise attack. Speak up. All the information you know about the Kingdom of Harmony. Tao Zhizhu asked in a cold voice. Iris on the side smiled, very satisfied with Tao Zhizhu's performance. If his will is not firm enough and his heart is not ruthless enough, he is easily deceived by this woman, and revenge will become a joke. Monet sneered, innocent, I won't tell you any news, ha ha ha. You should really want to know, right? Tao Zhizhu squinted his eyes, noticeably angry, and turned to look at Iris. Your Excellency Iris. Please hand her over to me for disposal. The natural demon fruit is somewhat scarce, ultimately just a servant spider, just a mere servant. If you die, you will die, and it is not worth cherishing. Iris nodded and decided to leave the dilapidated wooden house to search for food in the warehouse. In the dilapidated wooden house, only Tazizu and Monet were left, one locked and the other burning with anger. Finger the gun. Finger the gun. Tao Zhizhu vented his anger and kept poking bleeding holes in Monet's body. Blood flowed on the ground, slowly converging together. Looking at Monet again, he had already turned into a dying blood man. Tao Zhizhu frowned, surprised by the woman's will. In theory, bad people are selfish and won't hurt themselves to keep secrets. The less Monet said it, the more Tao Zhizhu wanted to know the answer. It seemed that torture was not a good solution, so a search was carried out on her, and the phone worm who was in contact with Doflamingo was found on her chest. This touch doesn't matter, Tao Zhiju's heart trembled, and something dormant in his veins suddenly awakened. Chapter 7. Appearance of the Heavenly and Lunar Times, Memory of Time and Space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Buzzing Tao Zhiju's head seemed to explode, and his vision was a blank expanse, unable to see anything clearly. The crystal clear blue light ball blends into the body, and countless memories flood into the mind. He saw a beautiful figure, dressed in kimono, with a delicate appearance and a hint of love and sadness between his eyebrows. Mother. Tao Zhiju murmured. Qianying's face gradually became clear, it was the mother of Momoiki, Tenyuki. She opened her arms and tightly embraced Tao Zhiju. Suffering, my child. It seems like time is running out, she said a lot of things and explained a lot of content. The confusion of Tao Zhi's hearing aid can probably summarize some of the truth. Originally, Tainyushi was a superhuman time fruit ability with the ability to travel through time and space. 20 years ago, Kaido was about to exterminate the Oda family. In desperation, Tenyuki awakened his fruit ability and sent Momoiki and the samurai into a time and space tunnel. He also embarked on a time and space journey. Anyway, Tianyue couldn't accept the fact of her husband's death and decided to change the past. But she can only take people to the future and cannot change the past. She divides her consciousness into countless fragments, and in countless time and space travels, she is doing her best to find a way. Countless timelines have witnessed countless futures, until when Tianyue was exhausted and about to completely disappear, she saw a different kind of Tao Zhiju. In this world, Tao Zhiju is not cowardly or timid. Hatred ignites his fighting spirit and saves the girl who has the fruit of the bride Luo. The future may only be changed by one's own son. By using the power of the future to change the past, this possibility can only be imagined in the sky and moon. Tazizu, my son, forgive your mother for not being able to accompany you in your growth. If you can fulfill your mother's wish, our family can still reunite. The road is difficult and long, you must persevere. The key to changing the past lies in the island of the end. You need to possess the strongest power in the world and the courage to face all difficulties. The figure of Tianyue gradually blurred until it completely dissipated. Countless images flooded into Tao Zhiju's mind, which were memories witnessed by countless time and space travels. In reality, Tao Zhiju's eyes shed 2 lines of clear tears and he completely fainted. The sunlight poured into the dilapidated prison cell, awakening those who carried deep blood and hatred. Tao Zhiju struggled to open his eyes, feeling a splitting headache as if 10,000 needles were piercing his head. He found himself resting on Iris's leg, and a refreshing fragrance spread to his nostrils, relieving the terrible pain. I've been unconscious for 3 days. Alice whispered. Her tone was mixed with concern. Although she had only been in contact for a few days, Tao Zhiju had already taken a place in her heart. The person in front of her is the reason for her to live. If a person dies, what is the point of living these extra days? Iris doesn't want to do useless things, so she doesn't want Taoji to help her die. Dang dang. Monet, bound by shackles, cursed loudly. Damn it. Give me something to eat. I want to drink water. During the 3 days of Tao Zhiju's coma, Monet did not drip any water, his face turned pale, his lips had already cracked, and his mental state was very poor. What scares Monet the most is that she can't recall the memories of the night. When the sun sets and night covers the earth, Monet will turn into a terrifying spider monster, a servant spider dominated by Iris, completely losing control of her body and consciousness. No matter what the spider does at night, she has no impression. Memories flooded into his mind, and Tao Zhiju remembered some things. Your name is Monet, right? Tao Zhiju suddenly said. Monet was taken aback. Her mouth was very firm, and even though Tao Zhiju tortured herself with a finger gun, she still didn't let go. How did this little ghost know? Seeing Monet's puzzled expression, Tao Zhizhu gradually confirmed his thoughts in his heart. The scene he saw before falling into a coma was not a fantasy. He really saw his mother and had memories of the future. Find the island of the end becoming the strongest in the world, change the past, a family reunion. The goal was clear in front of him, and Tao Zhizhu unconsciously clenched his fist. Miss Iris, please be a witness. I bid farewell to the past. Witness. People are carriers of memory, and when memory changes, in a sense, people will not be the same as before. Iris noticed a change in the name of Mamakazu and knew where he had become different. As for what will become, she doesn't care. Tao Zhizhu's eyes became sharp as he slowly approached Monet. Looking at the eyes that seemed to understand everything, Monet couldn't help but feel fear. Why are you afraid of children? Monet thought it was funny. But soon she couldn't laugh anymore because the child in front of her showed a weapon. That is a weapon that she is both familiar with and unfamiliar with. The stinky little ghost is clearly a child, how could it be? Monet widened his eyes. Tao Zhizhu was satisfied with Monet's shock and smiled at the corners of his mouth. This knife has been with me for 8 years. Today, I want to use you to sharpen it. Monet's instinctive body trembled and retreated in fear. Stinky kid. Don't come over here. Get lost. Stinky little devil. Get out of here. Tao Zhizhu seemed to have not heard of it and began his second punishment. This time, unlike last time, he used a weapon that was countless times more powerful than a finger gun. Hush. Monet widened his eyes. She felt the endless humiliation that a cadre of Don Quixote's family would be defeated by a child. As an undercover agent, Monet thought about what kind of punishment he would face, but he didn't expect Tao Zhizhu to be so shameless. Young Master, Monet lost his most precious thing, will you still want me? Young Master, can Monet still return to your side? Monet's eyes showed sadness and turned to anger. Bastard! Get out of here! Get out of here! Tao Zhizhu smiled, very smugly. Every word he said was like a sharp blade, piercing fiercely into Monet's heart. You should feel fortunate that this knife is even more powerful than Doflamingo. He's like his title, Joker, he's just a joker. My knife is powerful, isn't it? Monet's eyes were filled with flames, wishing to turn Tao Zhizhu to ashes. Damn it! I don't want you to insult the young master. Compared to him, you can't even count as an ant. Pooh! Stinky little devil. Tao Zhizhu always had a smile on his face and ruthlessly slashed one knife after another. This sword is called Red Horn and only slays the sinful female thief. I'm right, it's indeed more powerful than Domingo. Since your young master is so powerful, where is he now? His subordinates were tortured, why didn't he appear? The attack at Qijiao was fierce, and Monet was hungry for 3 days. Coupled with his previous injury, his stamina was almost depleted, and he quickly couldn't resist, causing his consciousness to become somewhat scattered. Tao Zhizhu sneered at the corners of his mouth and decided to pursue the victory. Red Horn. 100 consecutive defeats. Chapter 8. Punish Monet, the beginning of surrender. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Get out of here. Monet shouted at the top of his lungs, wanting to escape the torment of Tao Zhizhu, but unfortunately to no avail. Red Horn, like an angry dragon, rushes into the enemy's formation like entering an uninhabited realm, destroying everything with unparalleled power. Please, go out. Monet begged for mercy for the first time, but after 3 days of not getting enough water, coupled with the impact of her injury, her willpower gradually weakened and she finally couldn't hold on. Her heart is lamenting, young master, I'm sorry young master, Monet has become a lowly thing young master, where are you? Before fainting, Monet's mind was filled with the shadow of Doflamenco. Wow! Tao Zhizhu used cold water to wake up Monet, and Red Horn launched another attack, starting a new round of attack. The sun is setting in the west, and the bright moon is hanging high. The battle between the two lasted for a whole day. Tao Zhizhu didn't know how he persevered, only knew that his chest was filled with anger and hatred, and he needed to find a place to vent. Monet became unlucky and endured unimaginable attacks. Countless memories of time and space are intricate and complex. Tianyu witnessed the rise and fall of this world, witnessed the evil deeds of pirates, witnessed the numbness of nobles, and witnessed the arrogance and tyranny of the Tianlong people. Negative emotions pile up like mountains, and Tao Zhizhu releases them all in one go. She's almost dead. Alice, who was watching next to her, suddenly spoke up. The bloodshot in Tao Zhizhu's eyes gradually faded, and Red Horn stopped attacking. Sure enough, he found that Monet was already on the brink of death. The undercover Red Heart of the Don Quixote family never expected to end up like this. At this time, his eyes turned white and his consciousness fell into syncope. At least she is a natural fruit cultivator, and for Iris, she is a good servant spider worth cultivating. She can help with the plan to eliminate evil, and I can't bear to watch her die. Sorry, I'm a bit out of control, Tao Zhizhu said in a low tone. After a long period of fighting to vent his negative emotions, he was able to analyze the situation more calmly. After speaking, he withdrew from Red Horn, reorganized his attire, and stood solemnly in front of Iris. Can you understand me? Tao Zhizhu asked tentatively. For a child, his behavior looks very scary, and Momoiki doesn't know if he should treat Iris as a child, nor does he know how she views himself. In the memory of time and space, the demon fruit of the bride Luo is very powerful, a rare mythical beast species that can choose its own object, and its awakened power is extremely terrifying. If he wants revenge, Tao Zhizhu needs Alice's power, so he needs to provide an explanation. Iris looked straight into Tao Zhizhu's eyes, searching for something inside. The black eyes were filled with hatred, as well as deep sadness and tension hidden in the depths of the eyes. Is sadness because of the past, and tension because of oneself? Iris tugged her lips and smiled. Understanding. Tao Zhizhu finally breathed a sigh of relief and quickly went to treat Monet. He found a broken porcelain bowl and fed Monet with clean water. Iris straightened her arms and pulled out two dark green little spiders from her cuffs. They crawled onto Monet's body and entered her body from her navel, injecting vitality into her. If we all become monsters, then let's get to know each other again. Iris grabbed Tao Zhizhu by the corner of her clothes, and Tao Zhizhu was stunned for a moment, realizing that she was going to take herself somewhere. The two of them walked step by step out of the dilapidated house and arrived at the abandoned warehouse at the corner. Inside were several corpses wearing protective suits, who had just died and could still see blood on their faces. Under Tao Zhizhu's gaze, Iris slowly walked towards a corpse. Immediately after, she transformed into a terrifying human-faced spider, spreading her fangs and biting at the corpse, devouring flesh and blood. Blood dripped down the fangs, and the sound of bones being cut and chewed made the scalp tingle. Tao Zhizhu appeared very calm, silently watching without showing any shock or fear. In his memory of time and space, he had seen similar scenes, which were not worth mentioning compared to the methods used by nobles to torture refugees. Moreover, those who die deserve it, they deserve it. Until the body was completely devoured, leaving only the protective suit, Alice finally released the human-faced spider form and regained her human form. She wiped away the blood from the corner of her mouth and looked very seriously into Tao Zhizhu's eyes. Her eyes remained unchanged, making her feel fortunate. The corners of her mouth twitched again, and Iris showed a shallow smile, as if her steps were also much lighter. In the next 2 days, Tao Zhizhu was busy practicing to become stronger as soon as possible. When he regained his strength, he sorted his thoughts and digested his memories of time and space. Peel off the temporal and spatial memory like a hairball and make it clear. Hiss. Monet slowly woke up, gritting his teeth in pain from pulling on the wound. The head still seemed to have been filled with lead, heavy as if it couldn't be lifted up, and the wounds all over the body tore at the nerves, causing excruciating pain. Monet opened her eyes with difficulty, as if Tao Zhizhu, a demon from hell, was looking at her. "Don't!" Monet screamed and retreated, trying to stay away from Tao Zhizhu. "This little devil is simply a demon. He is even more terrifying than a ferocious pirate." After living for 30 years, Monet had never seen anything. The underground world of Dressrosa was equally cruel, and she had also witnessed the methods of villains and hooligans. But no one is as cruel as Tao Zhizhu, especially the outstanding divine weapon that left an indelible impression on her. How old is he? 8 or 9 years old. How could one possibly possess such a terrifying divine weapon? Monet still felt bewildered and couldn't figure it out no matter what. Tao Zhizhu smiled slightly upon seeing the situation and pulled out his red horn with a sarcastic expression on his face. Monet's pupils suddenly contracted, and he felt fear in his bones. His body kept trembling and retreating like a snake or scorpion. "Don't come over. Get lost." Gollum the stomach sends a hungry signal, reminding Monet that he hasn't eaten anything for a long time. Tao Zhizhu picked up a piece of bread, walked slowly towards Monet, bent down to look at her, deliberately swaying the bread in front of her, letting her smell the aroma of wheat. Monet's nostrils twitched and he couldn't help but swallow saliva. She has been hungry for too long and urgently needs to eat food to replenish her energy, otherwise she will definitely starve to death. If a high-ranking cadre member starves to death, it will damage the reputation of the family, even if one day they will die. Monet does not want to be starved to death. "Give it to me." Monet reached out to grab it, only to pounce empty. Long periods of hunger weakened her strength, greatly reducing her speed, and she was easily dodged by Tao Zhizhu. Tao Zhizhu smiled with an indescribable meaning, looking at Monet like a cat playing with a mouse. "I can give you food, but you have to agree to one condition." Monet instinctively felt that there was a trap, but bread was within reach, unconsciously relaxing his guard. "What conditions?" Tao Zhizhu took 2 more steps forward and placed Akira in front of Monet. "Taste the red horn first, then eat the bread." Chapter 9. Conquering Monet and Revenge begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Monet squinted his eyes and regained some momentum. At any rate, she is a cadre of the Don Quixote family. How could she suffer such humiliation? "Are you not afraid that I will tear it up?" Tao Zhizhu smiled confidently. "Think about the memories before, do you have the courage?" Upon hearing these words, Monet felt a sense of fear in his heart. Memories floated up in his mind, and Red Horn appeared like a nightmare, cutting her all over with bruises. Looking at Qijiao again, Monet's eyes were filled with a hint of fear and terror. Tao Zhizhu had superb eyesight and saw that Monet was most afraid at this moment, so he immediately decided to take advantage of the victory and launch an attack. Whoosh! Red Horn launched an attack without any reason and did not give Monet a chance to refuse. "Taste the red horn first, then eat the bread." The words just now echoed in Monet's ear, causing him to feel extremely conflicted. If she obeys, she can no longer lift her head. If she refuses, she knows how this kid will torture herself. She also considered gritting her teeth to fight back, and the previous competition showed her the strength of Tao Zhizhu. Teeth may not necessarily be the opponent of Qijiao. If stealing chicken does not erode rice, there is a possibility that teeth may be broken. Just as the Monet heavenly men were at war, Tao Zhizhu extended his palm and gently patted her shoulder to help her straighten her messy hair. "Don't worry, as long as you obediently listen, I won't hurt you." This sentence echoed back and forth in Monet's mind like a demon whispering. Hunger and hardship, coupled with worsening injuries, ultimately led Monet to choose compromise. Since she has tasted it, let's try it. Speaking of which, she has never had such an experience before and seems a bit nervous. Monet grew up living with his sister and was carefully nurtured by Doflamingo. When he was a child, Doflamingo showed a domineering aura and liked to handle things with thunderous methods, making him the dominant figure in the hearts of all family officials. From then on, Monet was captured by his heart and became the most loyal subordinate of Du Flamenco. For over 20 years, Monet devoted himself wholeheartedly to serving his family, never expecting anything in return. She once hinted to Domingo to express her feelings, but unfortunately they were all rejected. In the eyes of Domingo, they were family members, a part of the family, with very clear relationships that could not be changed. Gradually, Monet's scorching heart cooled down until his fantasies were shattered and he gave up completely. She always kept the precious thing and prepared to offer it to the young master, but unexpectedly, she got Tazizu a discount. Monet is one of the few people in his family who enjoys using his brain and has read many books since childhood. Those books influenced her, making her a traditional thinker who appeared to be intelligent but actually had outdated ideas. The little ghost in front of me has taken away precious things, which is a very special person for me. It is also appropriate to meet his demands. Therefore, Monet did not take the opportunity to launch a surprise attack, but instead devoted himself to exploring and learning, hoping that Tao Zhizhu would be satisfied. Red horn is a rare divine weapon in the world, worth exploring for a long time by Monet. Over time, Monet became numb and even developed muscle memory. Tao Zhizhu smiled contentedly, knowing that his plan had been successful. Okay, this is the reward you deserve. Without any deceit, Tao Zhizhu gave the bread to Monet, who chewed it like an animal. Tao Zhizhu reached out and touched Monet's head. "You're so good." After experiencing miserable torture, gentleness became so captivating that Monet felt a moment of happiness in his heart. Immediately after, Monet regained consciousness, with a look of resentment in his eyes. "It was the little ghost in front of me who caught me. He made himself scarred. He took away precious things." The change in his gaze did not escape Tao Zhizhu's eyes. He did not feel surprised, but rather delighted. Clack. Tao Zhizhu reached out and knocked off the remaining half of the bread, and the red horn sheathed again. "It seems you have forgotten its power," Tao Zhizhu said coldly. For the next 7 days, Monet endured unimaginable torment. Every time he was on the brink of death, Tao Zhizhu would stop and prevent Monet from dying. When Monet chooses to compromise and agrees to Tao Zhizhu's request, he will always receive corresponding rewards, even a moment of gentleness. Cruelty and tenderness coexist, causing Monet's brain to become chaotic, unable to distinguish what he really wants to do or what he wants. The dilapidated house is dark and dark, unable to find the flow of time, and unable to distinguish the southeast, northwest, and north. Monet didn't know if he could see the outside world or if he could survive. Every night, she turns into a spider, losing that part of her memory and feeling a deep fear. Finally, on the 8th day, Monet completely gave up his struggle and became a puppet with dull eyes. Tao Zhizhu stood in front of Monet with a refreshing expression, shining his red horn. "Taste it." Monet obediently followed suit without any change in expression, relying solely on muscle memory to complete the corresponding actions. "Let me see your scabbard," Tao Zhizhu continued to command. Monet obediently followed suit and lifted the legs that had been transformed into eagle claws. "Come on, let the red horn return to its sheath," Tao Zhizhu ordered. Monet obediently followed suit, picked up the red horn and placed it in his scabbard. Until now, Momoiki knew that he had completed his domestication and completely changed Monet. During the day, she is her puppet, and at night, she is Iris's servant spider. Tao Zhizhu withdrew the red horn and nodded very satisfied. "Great, tell me some information about this island." Based on spatio-temporal memory, Monet is cunning and skilled in disguise, so Momoiki dare not let down his guard. "I will never believe anything from her until I completely reform her." Monet replied with a dull gaze, "This is punk has sad." From Ice and Fire Island to Dressrosa, from Caesar to Domingo, Monet revealed all the intelligence he knew. Tao Zhi's hearing aid was very careful and did not miss any details. After listening to Monet's narration, Tao Zhiju's eyes sparkled with excitement. The island used for scientific experiments is interesting. Thinking of the group of children I had seen before, who were actually using them for experiments, it was unforgivable. Tao Zhiju squinted his eyes. Since that's the case, let me punish you all. Whoosh! Tao Zhiju dodged and disappeared, quietly lurking in the corridor where the guards were patrolling. Several guards wearing protective suits were patrolling with flamethrowers, cursing profusely. The troublemaker hasn't been found yet. What the hell? If I find him, I'll definitely peel off his skin. I will use a flamethrower to roast him alive and then throw it to that group of experimental subjects. Haha. That group of animal-like guys will definitely have nothing left to eat. Whoosh! Tao Zhiju suddenly appeared in front of the three guards. They wiped their eye masks to confirm that they were not mistaken. Little ghost, not tall, with a blue scalp, are you the troublemaker? A guard asked. Tao Zhiju has no nonsense and directly transforms into a human dragon form, increasing his speed and strength exponentially. After half a month of training, Tao Zhiju gradually adapted to the changes in his body and became more adept at transforming. Whoosh! The speed of the human dragon form was unimaginable and disappeared directly from the eyes of the three guards. Bang! 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 3 consecutive punches hit the chest of the 3 guards, causing them to have a sunken chest, their hearts to explode, and blood to flow from the corners of their eyes, nostrils, and ears. Puff! 3 corpses collapsed straight down, completely devoid of vitality. Chapter 10. Transfer of Positions, Luo vs. Jinwei Gate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Miss Iris. I brought you a gift. Tao Zhiju dragged 3 corpses back and gave them to Iris. In the next few days, members of the patrol team would inexplicably disappear, but in reality, they were killed by Tao Zhiju and turned into food for Iris. These people are too weak, and Iris looks down on them, so she didn't convert them into servant spiders. The corpse became the nourishment for Iris to recover her strength. Every time she helped Taoji cultivate, she would consume a lot of energy and need to devour flesh and blood for healing. In the laboratory, Kaisa's face turned pale with anger, and the group of researchers were trembling with fear. No one dared to speak up. A bunch of trash. Caesar exclaimed angrily. That guy Monet is really unreliable. He rolled his eyes and came up with a good idea. Notify those prisoners to enter the research institute to search for the troublemaker. Sho ho 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 ho. The culprit came from pirates. Initially, Caesar almost blew up the entire Punk Hassan in order to develop weapons of mass destruction, causing poisonous gas to spread throughout the island. The pirate was originally an experimental body selected by the world government to help Caesar, but the island was mercilessly abandoned after being destroyed. 1 year later, when Caesar returned to Punk Hassan, the prisoners had their legs destroyed by gas, and some even lost all their limbs. Caesar used auxiliary devices to replace the legs of the prisoners and help them stand up again, becoming the grateful master in the hearts of the prisoners. The prisoners obeyed Caesar's orders. When the members of the patrol team heard the plan, they all showed bad smiles. These animal-like creatures should be reduced to cannon fodder. Let them go find the troublemakers, they should all die. Quickly, the researcher transmitted the message to the prisoners outside the laboratory. My master needs my help, I will do my best. Surprisingly, someone dares to cause trouble. I want to catch them with my own hands. Brothers. It's time to repay the master. The criminals were in a frenzy and rushed into the research institute one by one, searching for the whereabouts of the troublemakers like they had been beaten with chicken blood. The number of people patrolling suddenly increased, and Tao Zhiju noticed something unusual and couldn't help but frown. If this continues, you will eventually be discovered and need to relocate to a temporarily safe place. My good dog, where do you think I should go? Tao Zhizhu asked Monet. Monet pondered for a moment with a dull gaze. There is a garbage disposal center located several tens of meters underground in the southwest direction of the research institute, with garbage everywhere and no one going to inspect it. Tao Zhizhu didn't mind going to the garbage dump. He was worried that Iris wouldn't be able to bear it, so he turned his head to look at Iris. Her eyes remained calm as water, with waves of coldness. Will such people care about the environment? The answer is negative. Let's go. Move the position. Tao Zhizhu made a decision. Monet was responsible for leading the way, while Mamazuk tied the remaining bodies with ropes and quickly transferred them to the garbage dump. After passing through a narrow pipeline, the three of them landed steadily in the garbage dump. The distance between the underground and the upper edge is indeed several tens of meters, which ordinary people cannot escape, but for the three of them, it is as easy as a palm. Monet has eagle wings and can fly freely. Mamazuk has mastered the moon step and can jump in the air. Iris can emit spider silk and climb along it. After finding a relatively clean place, Tao Zhizhu began to clean up and used various waste materials to create a small shelter from wind and rain. Looking at his masterpiece, Tao Zhizhu smiled happily. Before fully mastering the 6 styles, I have temporarily wronged you. Iris looked down at the garbage dump with no change in her expression. There is still leftover food and water in the warehouse, so there is no need to replenish them temporarily. Iris uses her fruit ability to help Tao Zhizhu practice and trains the Navy's 6 styles in a virtual scene. After returning to reality, Tao Zhizhu strengthened his physical training to quickly adapt his body to his thinking and make coordinated movements. When training entered a bottleneck period, Monet became a substitute and a target of attack for Akira. Drink. Tao Zhizhu let out a low growl. Red Horn suddenly exerted force and lifted Monet into the air, then firmly caught him. Monet frowned in pain and locked tightly together. This move extremely tests the strength of the waist and abdomen, and requires extremely high strength from the Red Horn. Tao Zhizhui, a skilled craftsman, was brave and took the risk of lifelong disability to try, but fortunately did not fail. Drink. Cycle after cycle, Red Horn once again exerted his power, and Monet flew into the sky time and time again. Unconsciously, Tao Zhizhu's leg strength was enhanced, his confidence surged, and the idea of revenge grew in his heart. Female pirates in the world, your hard times are coming. After another 7 days, Tao Zhizhu finally mastered the Navy's 6th move completely. Except for Lan Jiao, who was a bit unfamiliar, all other moves had become proficient. Among the 6 styles, he likes iron blocks the most because they are a means of strengthening Red Horn and the key to conquering Monet. During this period, Tao Zhizhu left the garbage dump several times, waiting for an opportunity to hunt down prisoners. He found that the prisoners all had wild animal limbs and looked very ugly. Fortunately, Alice did not dislike the appearance of the food. Have you heard that a warrior has come to the island and defeated many people? His sword can burn. That warrior is so terrifying, he seems to be looking for someone. Don't worry, that big shot just landed on the island yesterday. With him around, the samurai is not worth mentioning. Are you saying that 7 Marshal sees? Several prisoners engaged in a discussion while searching, and Tao Ji, who was hidden in the dark, heard it clearly. Samurai. Tao Zhizhu felt delighted. This person must be Jinwei Gate, and he came to the island to find himself. Koweihai. According to the intelligence provided by Monet, that person is likely Luo, a thoughtful guy. From Monet's words and phrases, it can be inferred that Luo harbors a grudge against Doflamenco, and the family members do not like him. After some contemplation, Tao Zhizhu decided to observe the changes and quietly left the research institute. This was his first time going out, and the white snow was a bit dazzling. Tao Zhizhu used the shadow of the sun to distinguish direction and ran towards the location mentioned by the prisoner. It is said that warriors roam around there, maybe you can find the Jinwei gate. Tao Zhizhu was extremely excited. Jinwei Men was a trusted subordinate of his father, and with his help, the revenge plan would be much easier. And according to time and space memory, he needs the Jinwei gate to do something. Whoosh! 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 Tao Zhizhu used shaving one after another to drive, which consumed a lot of physical energy and increased his speed significantly. In the blink of an eye, he advanced several kilometers. Ding ding dang dang. The sound of weapons colliding came from ahead, and Tao Zhizhu immediately stopped and slowly approached, lying on the edge of the snow field to secretly observe. The Jinwei gate is engaged in a fierce battle with a person, both of whom are swordsmen, and the fight is difficult to distinguish. That person wearing a spotted hat, very similar to the skin rumored to be from the outbreak of lead-platinum disease, should be the seven-armed sea Trafalgar Luo. This is not where you act wild, Luo Ling said in a voice. Jinwei Gate let out a snort, his eyes filled with killing intent, and he struck again with a slash.